All right, this is the lateral line. I'm going to do top to bottom. So we finished at the occipital ridge and mastoid process. It gets there through the splenius capitis from the sternocleidomastoid. Then it travels there from the external and internal intercostals, from the ribs, from the lateral obliques, from the iliac crest and the ASPS, from the glute maximus and medius. Those are the three X's I mentioned. This is the Y. Next is through the, from the TFL and iliotibial tract, from the lateral tibial condyle, from the fibular head, from the peroneus muscles, oh yes, the first and fifth metatarsals, for which I have no demonstration because they're tiny bones within the foot. All right, finally we have the spiral line. There are the upper and lower spiral lines. They mediate axial rotations and laterally shift the rib cage and head. The arch and the stirrups relate to the position of the pelvis. The spiral line is cool. It loops the body in a helix, shape joining at one side of the skull across to the back of the opposing shoulder, and then across the front of the hip, knee, and foot arches of the same opposing side of the skull. It runs up the body to rejoin the fascia of the skull. The spiral line wraps the body in two spirals, protecting it against imbalances in all planes. It connects the foot arches with the pelvic angle and helps to maintain twists and rotations and imbalances. It helps to maintain the position of the knee during walking. When there's an imbalance present, the spiral line provides compensation for maintaining twists and rotations that laterally shifts the entire body. The basic overall movement function of the spiral line is to create and mediate spiral movements, rotations throughout the entire body. Okay, the stretch I've chosen for spiral line is another yoga pose. It's called triangle pose. I'm going to start with the foot position. We're going to take this foot and this leg, and the foot on this leg is going to be pointing directly forward. This one, we're going to abduct the hip, and it's going to be pointing directly out. We're going to laterally extend this leg until this knee can reach a 90-degree flexion, like this. Then you're going to take this arm and place your fingers down at the base of your toes while lifting this one straight up into the air. So next is the complicated helix spiral line. I'm actually going to go in order this time. So we're going to start at the occipital ridge, travels through the sacrolumbar fascia and erector spinae, for which I have no demonstration, down to the sacrum, then the sacrotuberous ligament, for which I have no demonstration. Next is the ishiotuberosity, which is actually deep within the glutes. And then to the biceps femoris, and the fibular head, which is right at the top of the fibula, right above the peroneus longus, which is the next point. The peroneus longus is on the lateral side of our calf. Next is the first metatarsal base, for which I have no demonstration. It's a tiny bone in the foot. Traveling around to the front. Next is the tibialis anterior to the lateral tibial condyle, which is right there. And then up through the tensor fascia latae and the iliac crest and ASIS. Also to the anterior end of the iliotibial tract. Next is the internal obliques. Then through the abdominal aponeurosis and linea alba, which is here, but I have no demonstration. Next is the external obliques to the lateral ribs, which is right there on both sides. Serratus anterior, which is on the lower ridge of scapula, to the to the medial border of scapula, which is right there. Next is the rhombus major and rhombus minor, which are on the middle of the medial end of scapula, deep. The lower cervical and upper thoracic styloid processes. The next is the splenius capatus and cervicis, for which I have no demonstration. Back up to the beginning at the occipital ridge and mastoid process.